any time, if you have any questions, just feel free to go to the questions or chat box that you should see. I'll also give time at the end for handing over the microphone to you, so you should automatically be muted. So you can just click on the hand symbol to raise your hand, and then we'll go through any of your questions that you have. So thank you very much for your time today. The purpose of today's webinar is to go through what you need to do as a centre tutor working on Learn with NALA. And there's 5 things. One is to help a learner get started. So that's creating an account and registering for a course. Then helping a learner get through the course, giving guidance as the learner is working through it. There may be supplementary information that you might like to give. This also involves monitoring the learner's progress, particularly their end test, which is at the very end of the course. That's a summative assessment. This is for learners who are working towards QQI certification. And then to support learners in preparing for portfolio work, particularly at level 3, where most of our courses would have portfolio work that needs to be submitted. And then finally to check the portfolio work before submission. So to help a learner get started, there's 2 things you need to do. You need to help the learner to create an account. That's using a very specific link which we provide to you in NALA, and then to help the learner to register for 1 or more courses. So we would give you a link. You'll see it here in this image. There's a very specific code at the end of it which is tied to your centre. So it is possible for learners to use this independently, so not to use it through a centre as well. But the advantage is that if you are a centre tutor and you want your learners to be registered specifically to your centre, then you'll be able to monitor the progress. Plus, it means that when it comes to QQI certification, we'll also send out all the certs to you. If there's any problem with any portfolio work, then we can contact you to help support the learner to get through the course as well. So things usually happen a lot quicker and more effectively if you are listed as a centre, and then we'll give you that specific link. If you're not currently set up as a centre, you can email me after this today and I'll give you details and help you to get started on being a centre. So there's a very specific link, and then you would help the learner to register for, as I say, 1 or more of these courses. And then once the learner is started, then it's about helping the learner through the course and going through the different modules. So I'll go through how you set up a learner. So for example here, there's a very specific link that you would be provided with. There's an account form that looks like this. So the learner has to put in a username, a password. They will need an email. So maybe you have an email for the learner in a centre, or you could use a Gmail account. The learner needs to put in their first name, last name, address. So the address can be your centre's address, which we'll then use to send certs to afterwards. Phone number, PPSN, gender, date of birth, and then your centre name is already there. So there isn't a list that you have to go trawling through to find your centre's name. And then when all that information is filled out, then there's a terms of service and a privacy policy. If you click on those links, it will bring you to videos that explain what these are for the learner, and then click on create account. So that's the first step, to go to that particular page and fill out the information and click the 2 boxes. And from there, you're brought to the second page where there's a list of all the courses. So we have here the major awards that are currently available at level 2 and level 3. So for example, if a learner was to click on register now for level 2 cert in general learning, then that learner would automatically be enrolled into 6 courses, which would be reading, writing, listening and speaking, pattern and relationship, using technology, and personal decision making. So learners can sign up for bundles of courses if they want to work towards a major award, or they can sign up for short courses or minor awards. We have courses at level 1 through to level 3. Our level 2 and our level 3 courses can be used for QQI certification. At the moment, our level 1 courses map to QQI learning outcomes, but it's not possible to get a full QQI award. But that's something that we're working on at the moment, and we would hope that in the next year we'd be able to offer QQI certification at level 1. So if a learner has started these courses, then there'd be just an extra module that they'd have to do at the end to get their full certification. We also have a number of courses that we call Preparing for Level 3, the idea being to have content that helps the learner move from level 2 to level 3. At level 2, in areas like maths, the learner's going from simple addition, subtraction, and things like that. Whereas at level 3, then the learner is asked to look at algebra and more complex topics. So we felt that it would be really good to have some courses that help the learner get there. And that might be something you might like to help the learners register for. So if I pick some courses for myself, so I might pick level 2 using technology. So if I do that course, then I can work towards a QQI award. And what I get then is just a registration page. At this point, if I want to sign up for more courses, I can simply click on the back button and maybe sign up for another 1 or 2. So I'll sign up for maybe level 1. And then also a Preparing for Level 3 course. And if I feel that I've signed up for enough courses at this point, then I can click on clicking here. You will find today as well in this webinar, I've put in an attachment of a handout, which is a tutor guide. I'll also show you where you can get this tutor guide in the platform as well. So I've signed up with my learner account. Okay, and what this means is that from here, once the learner has created an account and registered for courses, then they will be brought into the part of the platform where all the content is. So this is what it looks like. So the name of the learner is up here at the top. The center that they're in, so for example, if it was an ETB, then the ETB banner would be here. There's a welcome video that explains what the platform is about. There's links to resources, also information for where the learner can text or call at any time if they have any questions. So that's a free phone number. And then all the courses that learners have signed up for are below here. As a tutor, you can also get an account. Okay, so it's something that we would set you up with, and you would be able to go in and see a learner's progress. So if I take a test tutor account here. So as a tutor, once you're signed up with us as a centre, we would create the account for you. You'd have your centre logo up top. You would see all the courses, so you don't have to enroll in the courses. We do that for you, and there would be a list of all those courses available here to you under My Courses. So if I click here just on this, the arrow, I can see all the different areas. For example, preparing for level 3, level 4, which we will have content on in the not too distant future. Level 3 courses like ICT and general learning, and indeed our level 1 courses. And I can also see then when I click on a course, so for example, if I click on the Level 2 General Learning and click on Using Technology and Course Admin, as a tutor, I can see all the learners that are listed or registered for this course. And I can also see their progress. So I can see their names, how often they've logged in, how much content they visited, their grades, the checklist items we're not using at the moment. And if I even hover over the grades, I'll be able to see the grades in more detail. Now I'll go into this in a little bit more detail in a minute. Okay, so for example, if I take one of my learner accounts, so I've created an account for a learner. And if I click on a course like Pattern and Relationship, there's a video here that explains to the learner how they can get an award, and also an introduction to this course itself. And the videos explain to the learner how to get started on the course. So the learner would click on Content, and in here, on this page, is all the content in the course. Okay, so for this learner to get through a course, they can do this first block called What Do I Already Know? So just to explain this on the slides, to help a learner get through a course, you help the learner register for the course, as I showed, then click on the course, and then click on Content to see what we call the Lessons page. So there's always a block called What Do I Already Know? And this is what we call NALA's recognition of prior learning. In this course, the one that's shown here on the slide, there's this is for using technology. There's 3 tasks because there's 3 learning outcomes. So for a learner to get through this course, they could either do these 3 tasks, and if they got everything right, then the summative assessment would appear for them directly. So they wouldn't have to do the lessons. Okay, so there's lessons here with 15 screens and 10 screens and 12 screens that the learner could go through. So that's one way of getting through the course, is by doing this. So the idea being that somebody could get through the course very quickly if they had some prior knowledge. Alternatively, the learner could work their way through the lessons and then the end test would appear. Okay, so when the learner first logs in, they won't see this summative assessment. It'll only be made available depending on how the learner works their way through the course. And in the case of our level 3 courses, once the learner has done the end test and done it all correctly and done portfolio work, then they will have successfully completed the course. So there's 3 pathways to course completion. One is if the learner does everything in the block, What Do I Already Know? And they get everything right, then the end test will appear. If you and the learner decide you don't want to do that initial assessment and you simply want to work your way through all the lessons, then by doing each lesson and working through them all, then the end test will appear. Or if the learner has done some of the tasks in the block called What Do I Already Know? And got some of them wrong, then they just need to go to the corresponding lesson to brush up their skills. And then the end test will appear. Okay, so to explain that, I'll just show you here in the case of this learner, just to give you an idea of what the tasks might look like. So this is a course Pattern and Relationship. So the content will always look like this. There'll be these speaker symbols, which when you click on it will read out the wording. So it means that for somebody obviously with low levels of literacy. They can have everything read out to them that appears on the screen. And then the tasks themselves will look like this. So typically in this type of question, there's a drag and drop. So learners have to match the wording on the left with the wording on the right. So they would do that by clicking on an item. And just as you see, when I'm dragging this across, a little plus symbol appears. And once it's moved to a place that I'm happy with, I can just release my mouse. Or if I'm using this on a tablet, I can just release my finger and then it just drops down. Okay, so you can see that plus just appearing there, and I release, and then I keep working until I've completed everything. And when I've completed everything, and this is important to note, then I click on check answers. Okay, so this is me submitting my work and I get a score. So in this case, I've got 6 out of 6. Okay, then here's another type of question where the learner has to read the question and then pick out what they think is the right answer. And there's 3 questions in this one in total. Okay, and again, I get my score. Then in some of the questions, there may be an audio file that the learner has to play. So I happen to know the answers for these already, so I don't need to play it, but it's usually a short clip, like this one is 9 seconds. And then we have that type of drag and drop one again. Okay, again, if I want to zoom in just to make this a bit bigger, I can just do a zoom in like that. And then it's important that I click on check answers so that I can see my score. So the very last screen that appears here shows 2 videos, one that the learner can play if they think they answer everything correctly, and one that they can play if they think that they get everything wrong. And there's a square button there that they can use to enlarge to the videos. So if I click on back to content, what you'll notice now is the tasks have disappeared here. So this is our initial assessment. You can only do this once, so think of it like a pre-course test. There's one go at it, and once you've tried all the questions and clicked on check answers and got a score, then the learner can't try it again. What the learner can do, though, is if they click on my progress, or they can even see their progress from where their name is and progress. They can see the course that they've enrolled in, and they get an overall summary. So I can see here that 3% of the content has been completed. And if I click on grades, that pop-up message, I should say, is a badge that's awarded to the learners. So I can see that this learner, or I can see it myself as the learner, has passed everything. I can also have a look at awards and view available awards. Again, all of this is explained in videos and in the tutor guide, which I'm going to show you how to get at. And what you'll notice there's a badge. So there's one for every skill set that the learner can acquire in this, and they all map to the learning outcomes. So now, when I click on content, the end test should appear for me on this page. Okay, and there it is. So the options could have been for me, if I didn't want to do that block or I got things wrong, to go and do lessons. And just to give you an idea of what the end test looks like, I'll just start into it. And the questions are going to be very similar in style. So there's going to be a matching type of one like this, and quiz ones as well. Okay, and again, I click on check answers and I get a score. If I got a question wrong here, I can simply go back to content at any time and then click back into the question to give it another go. Okay. So the idea would be that if, as a learner, I get all of these questions right, and I can check the progress myself, either going to my name or the My Progress tab. If I just look here in grades, what we should see now is that the question 1 that I've got correctly right is listed here. And once all 4 questions are answered correctly, then all of the work is done for this learner to get a QQI award. So as a tutor, you don't have to do anything bar helping the learner to get to that point. So we in NALA would do the verification. So we would go in and check the account to make sure that everything has been done correctly. If there was portfolio work that needs to be submitted, we would also check that. And this learner would be automatically forwarded for a QQI award then at level 2. If I was a learner who had failed some tasks, okay, so if I show you, for example, another account here, and if the other ways that you can access courses is down here at My Courses, or you can also go to this little symbol here that's called the waffle, and you can look for courses there. So for example, if I'm a learner here and I've been working on this course, I can go to My Progress, and I can see here, for example, that I've done the 3 tasks in the initial assessment, but I failed one. So in this case, I've failed task 2. So now for me to get the end test to appear, I'd need to go and do lesson 2. So that's what that means. So to go and do lesson 2, I click on content, and then lesson 2, and I've already started this, so you can see that I've completed 10 out of 11 items. And I can scroll down to the last item here. Okay, and this is another type of question which we call sequencing. So you have to match the words on top with the words on the bottom. And when the words are in the right place, then the learner sees a green bar. Okay, so in a lesson, there's always an option, and you can see it here, to try again, which we don't offer in the assessments, because an assessment question can only be done there and then in that one go, but the learner can always go back and repeat. So I still have to swap some things around. Okay, and now everything is correct. If I click on try again, it just simply resets the question. Okay, so to give you an idea of lesson content, you can always browse where you are in the lessons by clicking the thumbnail symbol at the side, and you can see where you are in it. It's a good idea for yourselves as tutors. You will get access to all the content except the end test. Okay, so we don't allow tutors to get access to the end test to protect the integrity of our tests, but you will be able to access all the lessons plus the initial assessments. So you'd be able to go in and dip in and out of the lessons and get an idea of what the content looks like and the different questions. So just to go back to my slides again, so the learner progress is something that the learner can look at themselves, but you can also look at it as a tutor. So a learner can either click on My Progress or click on their name and progress, and they'll see how they're getting on in a particular course. So as a tutor, you can log in with a NALA created account, so you don't have to do anything. Just provide us with your name and email, and we'll set that up for you, and we'll automatically register you onto all the courses that we have available. And then you would click on a course, course admin, and class progress or grades. There's different views that you'll get. So you can see grades like this, where you can see all the learners and see, for example, all the tasks in a course and all the questions in the end test. Or you can also see the same view that the learner sees by going to class progress, picking a learner's name, and then looking at their grades and go to lesson. So just to recap, for a learner to get through a course for QQI certification, they will need to complete an end test and portfolio work, where that portfolio work is applicable. The end test will only appear upon successful completion of tasks in the first block, completing all lessons or a combination of tasks and lessons. And once a task has failed, the status will always stay as go to lesson. And the questions in the end test can be repeated as many times as needed, and you can click on retake content. So just to show you this in the platform. So if I'm a learner here and I've been working now on all the content, and because I reset this one, I'll just do this one again. Okay, and then once I go to the last screen, it says that I finished lesson 2, and it tells me where to go to click on lesson 3. So as a learner, I can click on my progress. I can see that the grade has stayed as go to lesson. So that was the task, because I can only do that once. If I click on content, I can see that I've done all of that first block and all of the second block. I didn't need to do lesson 1, and I didn't need to do lesson 3 because I had passed those initial assessment questions. I can have a look at what badges I have. And then as a tutor, I'll show you the same view. So I'm going to log into my tutor account. And I can click on a course of interest like using technology. Click on course admin, see a list of all my learners, and look at that particular learner, 71. If I scroll over here, as it's moving, it goes from task 3 to task 2 to task 1. So I can see that the learner has failed a question. And if I want to know, well, have they done lesson 2? Okay, because that's what they failed. I can click on the learner and see that same learner view. So click on grades. See that the learner has failed task 2. So I want to make sure now that they've done lesson 2. So I'll click on content. And then I can see that they've done lesson 2. And what I see here is that the end test has been released to that learner. Okay, so what I'd be telling that learner to do now is to go and do the end test. So if I'm the learner, I'm going to go to my course using technology. I've been told by my tutor that everything is okay, that the end test should appear, which it has. And I could start into the questions. And then give them a go. So some will be like this, where there's images and text to match up. Some will be like this, where there's a drop down type question, so the learner can have the word read out to them. Also, when they choose the right answer here, or choose any of the answers, they need to choose the right one, obviously. But if they chose even the wrong one and they click here again, it'll read out the whole sentence to them again, including the word that they've selected. So that's important to know, and for learners to know that. And I'm going to get one wrong just to show you what happens. So it gives me a score. There's no option to try again because it's not a lesson. So then I'd go and do question 3. And I'll give this a go. So a TV is in the home, interactive whiteboard in a training center, and a credit card machine is in a shop. And I get my score. Okay. Again, there's videos here that tell you what you can do if you think you've got things right or wrong. And we also encourage the learners to look at my progress. So now as a learner, when I look at my progress, I'll see the grades for those 3 questions I've tried, and I can see that question 2 is redo. So to redo it, and a learner can redo the questions as many times as needed, I simply can go back into it and then click on retake. Clicking on review means I get to try the question again as a practice, but the grade isn't kept. So I click on retake and give it another go. Okay, so now we can see that I scored 2 out of 2. If I click on back to content, go back to this page and click on my progress, we should now see that the grade has changed from redo for question 2 to pass. Okay, so this learner has done everything that they need to do to get a QQI award at level 2 in using technology. Okay, I did mention that there is portfolio work in some of the courses. So it's important that when you're monitoring progress that you make sure that the learners have passed the end test first. At level 3, that's where most of the portfolio work is. The end test can be very long. So what you're looking for is a grade called end test passed. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And we definitely recommend to also check the portfolio work before submission, so you can familiarize yourselves with the portfolio needs. I'll send these slides on after today so that you have it, and there's a link to a webinar that goes through what we look for in the portfolio work. Okay, so it's quite detailed, so there wouldn't be time to go into it today, but it's important that you'd be aware of what the standards are that we're looking for in the portfolio work. So at level 2, 2 of the courses require portfolio work, writing and listening and speaking, and at level 3 then it's most of the courses. And you can get a copy of the tutor guide that lists all the portfolio work by going to the help button on the home page of Learn with Nala. So if I show you this on the platform, so I'm going to just log in with my tutor account once more. If I go to the help button, now logged in as a tutor, then I can see the tutor guide. Okay, and I can download that. I have one already downloaded here. And if I go to page 13 of this guide, it'll list all the courses, the number of tasks in the initial assessment. There's also links to the QQI descriptors. And it'll also list the number of questions in the end test, so you'll know to expect how many that will come up. It'll also tell you if there's portfolio work. So for the course writing, there's 1 portfolio task. where the learner has to handwrite, and this is important, handwrite 5 sentences and submit them online and via post. And there's details, and I'll show you where you can get those details on what the learner has to do. And for listening and speaking, the learner has to make a phone call to NALA and answer some questions. They usually have to spell their name, give their address and their PPSN and so on. At level 3, there's a lot more portfolio work. So if I scroll down to the likes of career preparation, for example, there's 2 portfolio tasks. So the learner has to upload a CV, and they also need to do a mock interview. For maths, they have to do 3 portfolio tasks. So they have to submit drawings online and by post. They need to fill out forms and then submit them. So you can see the portfolio work that's needed if you click into any of these courses. So for example, if I click on writing at level 2 and content, the portfolio area will always be made available to tutors and learners. So I can click on portfolio and then final task, and there'll be some instructions where it says what the learner is requested to do, including marking the work with free post and then the name of NALA on it. Okay, so that's one course. If I wanted to have a look at another course like maths, I can click on the home button just to go back to the home page. Click into an area like level 3, general learning, and find the course maths. And again, content, and scroll all the way down to portfolio. So it tells me that there's 3 portfolio tasks. And for example, if I click on the third one, it tells me what the learner is requested to do. And there's an example then of what they need to fill out. So the learner would be expected to click on this form, open it up, and then fill that out. So as tutors, we ask that you check this work with the learners before submitting it. So the learner would need to fill this out with correct spelling, grammar, punctuation, full sentences, and then save their work. And when it's saved on their desktop, then they would click on upload, and then a NALA tutor would verify it. So that's really a quick tour of what you're expected to do as a tutor. Just to draw your attention to the fact that we do have a number of tutor courses as well. So you can go to courses.nala.ie and click on tutor courses, and these are all available for free. So we have ones on integrating literacy, and there's a lesson planning workshop. And if you are interested in any of the workshops that are listed there, you can contact my colleague Gillian Harris. So that's gharris@nala.ie. And if you've any questions about what's shown today or any queries about your tutor accounts, you can contact me, cwhelan@nala.ie, and actually for any questions to do with getting started on Learn with NALA, or if you haven't been set up as a centre, you can come to me and then I'll forward on your queries about getting started as a centre. So I'm going to open it up for any questions that you might have at this point, and feel free to put up your hand if you have any questions. So Jacqueline, I see that there's a question beside your name, so I'm just going to click on unmute now. So if you want to go ahead, Jacqueline, you can ask your question.
Hi, I've used this in the past, but at the moment what I was hoping to use was the preparing for level 3 maths, and that's what I was hoping to do with my learners. I actually work in a community training centre, so we're not signed up for this or anything, but it's something that I'll speak to my manager about.
Okay.
And do I have to be signed up as a tutor and as a centre for the learners to begin the the ones preparing for the level 3 maths? Do they, or can we
Um,
just go ahead and do those?
we do recommend it. The reason being that
Yes.
for yourselves to follow progress, you'd be able to go in that view that I showed where you can go into class progress and you'd be able to see where the learners
Okay.
are at. So the cost for membership, because we do ask that people become members of NALA so that they can sign up to the
Yes.
platform, is €50. But I should say
Yeah.
that there is a student development fund that comes out every March, and my colleague Margaret Murray puts out a call for that. And actually, then if you signed up, you can apply for that, and that's to the value of €650. And you can use that then to create workshops or bring in speakers or anything outside of the norm that you would normally do. And in that way, you kind of recoup the money back. So I always say to people, it's worth, it's €50 membership per year, but then
Yes.
you can get the money back that way for your learners. So
That's fantastic. We as a centre, I think we are already a member of NALA.
oh, great, okay,
Yeah, we are. We need a community training centre are because I'm a great advocate for NALA, so we are a member of that, and our centre was lucky to get funding this year from you to we're doing the library, we're doing a library here in our centre.
oh,
So
brilliant,
yeah, so we have great connections with NALA already,
great,
and that's why I wanted to start doing this, and
yeah,
I was hoping that my learners, now they're going to be doing level 4 maths, but it's a long time since they did maths, so I was hoping to use the preparing for level 3 maths ones to help
to
them
help them,
get
sure,
ready.
yeah,
Yes, so that's
yes.
what I was looking at for
So
now.
then, yeah, so then all you need to do, Jacqueline, if you're already a member, is
Yes.
there's a form that the head of your centre would need to fill out. We call it an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. So I can look up your details after today that you used for registering for this if it suits, and send
Yes.
you on the MOU and then some information about getting started. And we can get that process pretty quickly. And then we can go ahead and set you and any of your colleagues up as tutors. You can have as many tutors as you want and give you advice then on how to register your learners. And then you'd have all the advantage of being able to see the learners' progress as they're
Okay.
signed up um, for the preparing for level
As
3
they're signed up.
courses.
Yes, of course. Okay,
Okay,
that's great. Now, Rose, our manager, is out on annual leave at the moment, but she'll be back on Monday the 20th. So, yeah, I discussed with her that I was doing this webinar today, but I never said anything. I didn't know about, signing up or anything like that. But,
sure.
I'd say she'll probably be very open to it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm going to